Hello, we're going to try this again. Thanks so much for joining us. So sorry about the hiccup. We're going to welcome everyone back in. There's Nikki, I see you. I'm going to send the request your way. Hopefully that went through. Yes, there you are.
Instagram was like, thank you for joining. You're done.
You know what? It happens. This is the first time we froze and came back. So, like, all the different things that are happening, we've had people drop off completely. I mean, that's kind of like the hiccups of Instagram. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're so happy you're back.
Thank
We're so happy our people
you,
are
everyone.
trickling in. I'm sorry?
I said, hopefully everyone else will come back too.
Oh, yeah, no, it's populating already. So we're
Okay.
good. We're good. So just to let everyone else know and to kind of repeat what I was saying before, basically I'm going to start with an intro, then we're going to jump into our questions. We're going to take any questions from the chat, kind of give you time and space to talk anything you want to add, and then our outro and should last anywhere between 25 to 35 minutes, depending on how joyous and chatty we feel.
Okay. Sounds
All righty, people, let's get started. Our room is starting to populate. So, a big hello to our Highlights Foundation family. We're so happy to have you here with us today. For those that may not know me, I'm Kat Galliano. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the social media manager here at the Highlights Foundation, also known as the person most likely resharing your post. I always respond with some blue and green hearts, so I'm sort of the human behind all of that. I'm joining you today from Westchester, New York, on the traditional lands of the Siwanoy people. And apart from all the fun things I get to do at the Highlights Foundation, celebrating the book birthdays of our community members, faculty, and friends is one of my greatest joys because all of your wins are our wins. And today I have the honor of celebrating Stranded, the new middle grade novel by our friend and faculty member, Nikki Shannon Smith. We're so excited to have you here with us today. But before we dive in, I just want to remind our viewers that joining in any Highlights Foundation spaces to do so with no hate, no harm, and no harassment of any kind. So let's get started. It is Pub Day. Happy book birthday to Stranded and to you. How are
thank
you feeling?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I've been up since I think 4:30 this morning, just kind of buzzing around. And as a kid, I used to order Scholastic books with the little paper order forms. And then as a teacher, we hosted 2 or 3 Scholastic book fairs in person on campus. And I was the teacher who snuck in with no kids to go look at the books. So having my own book come out with Scholastic and land in, clubs and fairs is really just a dream come true. So I'm very excited today.
4:30 is early, so I hope you maximize your whole day before you crash out eventually
Yeah,
or
so
sneak in some coffee. But is it I just want to kind of harp on a little bit of what you said. It's like this is, if anyone didn't pick up, this is a Scholastic book. So just sort of that like excitement that I feel so many of us share about what that Scholastic paper, book fair paper in our folders felt like, and to know now, sort of on the flip side now, as having being a writer whose book is in the book fair. I mean, that must be something that is such a wild dream to even conceptualize. So I'm so excited for you, and I share in your happiness because as a kid who used to wait for the book fair, I'm like, I cannot even imagine what it feels like. So yay, congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
So my second question is we're going to tease a little bit about the book here. Um, at the beginning of the story, your main character's name is Ava. She gets picked on for loving the outdoors and wanting to spend time in nature. Why was it important for you to write this character and tell this story?
Well, I think, I'm Ava in so many ways. It's just her experiences, her loves, her passion for the outdoors really all came from within me. And I was fortunate in that that was not something I got teased about or picked on for. But I know a lot of kids are busy trying to define themselves on their own terms. And I really just wanted to write something that showed you can be all of the things, you can realize all of the parts of who you are, and the best way to be true to yourself is to surround yourself with the people who allow you to do so. So that was the main thing.
This was such a beautiful book, and your detail, like it was so rich, like like the way you described the outdoors and like the different things Ava was learning. And I'm not going to spoil much, but Ava goes on an adventure, so we'll leave it at that.
It's so,
But
so
just
hard.
the way you described it was truly, it was such a beautiful read, and it felt, it also, I think that's important to touch on. It felt very middle grade too. Like that voice felt young. So I really appreciated that because so often I read something and I'm like, I'm not quite getting that middle grade voice, but the story is beautiful. And this truly, it was kind of the best of everything. So spoiler alert, got the book a little early, so I did get to enjoy it before the world got to. So I can't thank you enough for that opportunity. Um, my next question is, what was your process to get this on the page? Like, talk to us about when it started in your head to basically today, now that it's out in the world.
So I think initially it was just the concept of a girl out in the wilderness who's where she's always wanted to be, and then that just goes completely awry, right? And so having never been stranded, thank goodness, but having spent a lot of time outside, whether that was in the redwoods, I'm in California, so the redwoods or the Sierra Nevadas, hiking, camping, all the things that I did, those things came naturally. So that process really just involved tapping into those experiences and the feelings I have when I'm outside doing all of those things. But then the other side was that it was set in the Adirondack Mountains. So I also had to do a lot of research to make sure that while the emotions I was pretty comfortable with and her experiences, I wanted to make sure that I honored that land
Right.
and animals and the wildlife there, and made sure that as her story unfolded, it would ring true for people reading on the East Coast. So that was a big part of the process.
That's amazing. Did you end up coming to the Adirondacks at all, or was it
I'm on my way, hopefully, like knock on all the wood pretty soon.
yay? Because that was my first question. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I wonder if Nikki made it out here because it just feels so real. I mean, I haven't been spent much time in the Adirondacks. I've pretty much just driven through them. I've spent more time in the Catskills than in the Adirondacks, but I was just like, I wonder if she's been here. It feels so real.
You know, part of my process with research is to just fully immerse myself. So I looked at live cams and videos and pictures, and I just until I felt like I was there.
Yeah,
So for saying that, that was one of the things I was a little worried about, because you always want to write an authentic story.
of course. So talk to me a little bit more. I'm just like curious. So then all this research, and then how did Ava come to life? I mean, yeah, you said a little bit that Ava was you, but like, how about like Auntie Raven, like how the sisters, like how, without giving away
Okay.
too much, because obviously the book is called Stranded People, so you can only imagine what happens. But without giving away too many details, I feel like the cast of characters was just so delicious and was just so vibrant, and like I loved the sisters and their sort of dynamic, and that was so interesting to me. Anyway, so just like kind of harp a little bit on that.
When I'm really in love with a concept, there will be a part that's sort of a given. So in this one, it was the setting was already there, and characters will just, sorry for everybody who this sounds strange if you don't write, but the characters will just start to kind of talk to me and come to me and walk with me. And that's how this one came to be. So Ava, I knew she was a city girl. I'm from Oakland, so I'm also very much a city girl. And I wanted to think about what that would be like for her in Manhattan, which that is someplace I've spent time in, and what kinds of friends she would have. And then from there, just the idea of what was her family going to be like. And living
Mm,
in New York, I knew sort of what their household might look like. I always wanted brothers. I didn't have brothers until I got married. Now, now they're my brothers too. But the dynamic of an older brother, younger brothers, twins. We do have some twins in my family. I have friends who are twins. And then I wanted to play with that a little bit. So she's got younger twin brothers, but then her mother is a twin.
yes.
And the twins are a little bit at odds with each other. And I wanted to kind of play with that, because some people see twins and think, oh, they're just alike, especially if they're identical. But I wanted them to be their own people and have that close tie that you hear about, but then also have something in the way. So that was all just kind of brewing. And as I wrote, something would pop into my head regarding their relationship, and then I'd weave that in too. So we all
The characters felt, sorry?
had to have a special auntie. I mean, just you got to give a girl an auntie.
I mean, first of all, aunties are the best, and this auntie was the best. And it just, but it also just like your characters felt so 3D. Like, sure, she was the best, but like also like Ava was upset with her at points where it's like it just all the characters felt so 3D to me. And I think that's such a gift. And I felt so immersed in that world, and I was like, oh my God, Auntie Raven, how could you? I'm over here like rooting for my girl Ava and totally feeling the feel. So I just felt like you did such a beautiful job with that too. Like the characters, I mean, apart from like the world feeling so real, the characters truly felt so 3D. So
Thank
you
you.
did an awesome job there. So my next question is talking a little bit about the Highlights Foundation. Can you tell us about your journey and how the foundation has played a part in
Yeah. So first, everybody watching, anybody watching, if you are not familiar with Highlights, please follow them on all their social media.
it?
Are looking for writers workshops, please take one through them. Go visit the campus in Pennsylvania. So Highlights, I read Highlights magazines, as a young person, but I didn't really realize how fully developed Highlights was as a foundation until about 2021. And it started with me being a member of Amplify Black Stories, which was a program that Highlights sponsored. The Brown Bookshelf was part of that. It was a call to action to elevate the stories and voices across cultures, and especially in the Black culture. And so I ended up online, of course. It was like COVID times. So a lot of it was online. And then as part of that program, I got to attend a virtual Highlights workshop, and it was the fiction one. And I was an attendee in that workshop, but by the time it was over, I just knew there was just a feeling. Even I say in the room, I mean, we know it was a Zoom room, but there was a feeling in that room that you just don't get everywhere. And I wanted to be a part of it. So I reached out within, I think, a week or two. And I just said, how can I be a bigger part? How can I be involved? So that's how it started. And then, fast forward a little bit, and I got to come to the campus. And although I've been in the wilderness, because I'm in California, I had never seen fireflies before. And on this visit, I mentioned that, and someone's like, "You've never seen fireflies?" It was their norm. I couldn't believe I've never seen fireflies. And then someone else was like, "Well, we call them lightning bugs." And so people literally led me out to the meadow at Highlights. At like a group of maybe four friends flanked me and led me to this meadow. And they were just like, be very quiet. Everybody's phone was off. Nobody was trying to film it or document it. And we just stood in the quiet. And those little,
I
started to come on. And that actually made its way into the book where Ava gets to see her first firefly. So
I
out to
I
highlight
read that.
there.
So jumping off of that, I read that. So I was told this story previously about how Nikki experienced the fireflies in real life on campus. So when I read that line in the book, I literally just squealed and I said, "No way! This is like the direct like life experience of Nikki in this book." And I'm honored I knew that like fun fact before I read it because it just made that moment so special. But also too, it's like kind of what a writer is. Like you implant so much of your life experiences in your story. So knowing that about you and then reading it directly in the text was just something so, I think, unique, and I haven't really experienced that before, like knowing a specific bit of information and then seeing that line directly in the text. So, oh my God, that was such a joyous experience for me. And so whenever you get to that firefly line, now you know exactly how Nikki was feeling about experiencing fireflies in real life.
I still feel that way when I think about it. It was just absolutely magical. And there's another little scene in the book that I won't spoil that I'm inspired by too. I think you know.
So talk to us. We were talking about campus a little bit. I do know that you were on campus a little longer than a retreat this summer. So talk to us about what you got to do.
Yes, I got to be the writer in residence on campus in August for most of August. And it was a combination of writing and taking care of writing related business. I actually drafted a picture book. So future, it's not about the wilderness, but maybe um, I'll have another one that I can say this was born at Highlights. And then there were several different groups on campus during my stay. So we had the Native Creative in Community Retreat was on campus. The Neurodiverse in Community Retreat was on campus. There was an agency on campus, several personal retreaters. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, and the Whole Novel group was also on campus. So I got to sit in on some things as an audience member. I got to be on a panel. I was just honored to be in company with some of those groups who were there. It's such a safe place. Highlights is a place where you can come and be and know that you're accepted and loved. And I was honored to be folded into some of those very personal experiences. And I got to support and help as needed and eat lots and lots of good food and have lots of good conversations and just be inspired as part of a community. So it was wonderful.
That's wonderful. And I always tell people that a mini retreat in terms of like 3 or 4 days is great, but there's something to be said about a little longer of a stay on campus. I mean, I think my longest stay has been maybe 3 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, I think at the peak, when I was there for RAing. But there is something so different about being there for like an extended period of time, because often I find that when we're in retreat, and in my case, the retreats I've been to most recently was the Latinx retreat last year. It's just such a like 3 or 4 days, but you're in community, and so you want to connect and you want to be with people, and so you don't necessarily get to your craft so much.
Right.
So when you're with like a little bit more of an extended time, maybe even upwards to a week, it gives time for like both. So you get to like kind of connect with people, but you also really kind of get to have your butt in the chair moment and get those words out. So there's something to be said about staying a little longer.
Definitely. And I got
um,
to some of Stranded, I got to write on campus as well. Just the way that
ooh, look at that. That's a fun fact. I like that fun fact. Um, what do you hope kids will take away from this book?
as a teacher and as a reader, I just really want kids to read. So my main goal with any book that I write or that I put in anyone's hand, whether I wrote it or not, is just I want them to find in a book whatever they came looking for. I don't write with that type of agenda.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that are buried that I hope, maybe someone will notice, or maybe it is what someone is looking for. In this book, what I hope is that kids see an example of someone who was determined to be themselves, and was willing to speak up and advocate
Mm-hmm.
and be self-reliant because of her situation, and eventually had to be willing to accept that they needed some help. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that when that aspect probably came in, I'm very bad about asking for help. It's very hard for me to do. I'm super independent. We talk about grit, especially in our young girls. And so I wanted her to have that, but also life is humbling and we can't do it alone. So I wanted her to have to ask for help and to also realize that even when it seems like people don't accept you or like you're different or you don't fit in, there are people who love you and you're really never alone.
I think that's like the main reason why I think this book struck such a chord with me too, is because I'm sort of in line with you of I'm hyper independent. I don't like to ask for help. So the asking for help and for it to be okay to ask for help and to be basically caught, because sometimes asking for help is like too scary because you don't know who's going to catch you if you're falling. That idea of being caught and carried is something that I still, you know, am working with and struggling with. So that part of the story really grabbed me. I was like, you know what? It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay because somebody will be there to catch you. So thank you for this story. Thank you for that message. Um, and that's all for my questions. So I would like to ask you if there's anything you'd like to add, if there's anything we need to know. And then in the meantime, I'm going to look through our comment section and see if there's any questions.
Okay. Well, I think, first, just thank you for doing this. Thank you, Highlights, for your role in all of this. Thank you, Scholastic. I got to shout out the Scholastic team. It was a dream experience.
Oh,
And I think
yay.
this book, definitely came from me, but it also came from the absolute joy in the creative team process. So I was very, very fortunate in that. So I definitely want to shout them out because I'm really, really grateful for that. Um, I guess I would just say be yourself. For those of you who are writers, keep going. My journey has been long and windy. Don't compare yourself to other people. Your journey is yours, just like you are who you are. So keep it pushing, keep doing what you do. And just don't ever give up.
Well, I don't see any questions from the comments, just lots and lots and lots of love for you, for your messaging, for this story that's out in the world. And I also just want to echo all of that love. I have had the immense honor of monitoring your classes in the past as faculty. And, question just popped up actually as I'm wrapping this up. Are you writing any more middle grade?
I saw that pop up too. I am. I am. I have a couple of things in the works that I cannot. It's so hard. I can't stand that when you can't talk. But I do. I have a historical fiction in
Ooh,
grade historical fiction, middle grade nonfiction, which is something kind of different. So that is in the works too. And then I've got some picture books. I write all across the board, which is part of just me being myself and being
yeah.
true to my whatever story is speaking to me is what I write. So there are things in the works. And I think most people at this point, because I've been shouting it from the mountaintops, know Prince book coming out in about a year and a half.
Uh,
A Prince artist, just to clarify, a little golden book. So those are some of the things that I have happening in the
and
works.
of course, please follow Nikki to keep up to date on all the latest projects and when things are coming out. And maybe we'll see her over here again soon in the next book birthday. Who knows?
I I see some friends from Oakland in here. Hi.
Well, thank you to all those friends for coming on in and joining on the Highlights Foundation Live. We're so happy to have you here with us. So basically, that's the end of our conversation. So I'm going to lead right into our outro, which is once again, congratulations on this beautiful new book. I had the immense honor, as I mentioned, that I got to read it early. It was on my Kindle. I'm just glad it's out in the universe now, so all of you can get your hands on it too. If you would like to order a copy, you can always purchase at our virtual bookshop powered by bookshop.org. Nikki, I'm not sure if you are working with a specific indie or whatnot, but if that information you have later on, you can always email me and we'll add it to the blog. You're also going on tour. I do know that. So catch Nikki in real life across the country if you want your personalized copy. Thank you so much. I am so lucky that we got to share time and space as I was your monitor at some point in the past for your online classes, and now getting to be here as your pseudo online friend hosting this very special book birthday. Um, Thank you. Thank you so much for choosing to celebrate with us.
Celebrating with me.
And thank you so much for this book. I can't wait for everyone to read it. And thank you to all of you for joining us from all over, from Oakland, from New York, from everywhere else in between. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.